What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here, and today's video is going to be an interesting one. It's essentially a deep dive into the planned monetization system for Diablo 4. So there's so much to cover, everything from optional microtransactions for cosmetics, the battle passes, and whether or not the community feedback is, going to be receptive to that. And I think that the plans for how Blizzard is going to drive revenue to update the game is important and will have a big impact on whether or not the game is successful. Again, I don't think it's everything to determine whether or not an ARPG is successful. There's, rewarding campaign experience, endgame content, new additional content consistently being added to keep players interested. Again, with a revenue model that supports that without kind of turning off the player base. So it is definitely an important piece of the puzzle. It's not everything, but it's going to be an interesting video regardless. And I do want to request that you kind of watch the majority of the video and don't just kind of snip a small bit of the video and kind of take it out of context. But I definitely want to welcome all feedback in the description below, so if you agree or disagree with some of my takes, again, just feel free to let me know. But it should be an interesting video, and it is definitely an important topic for me because I do want Diablo 4 to be successful. I don't plan on playing Diablo 2 for the next 10 or 15 years. I definitely want Diablo 4 to become my main game and be successful, so definitely have a couple honest opinions and takes on some of the stuff in this blog post. But again, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Quick reminder before we jump in, just want to let you guys know that I do stream twice a week on Twitch. So if you do enjoy this content, any follows on that platform would be very much appreciated. Got the link from a channel in the description below. That being said, guys, let's jump in. So I want to first kick off this video by first distinguishing the difference between a single player experience and an online game that has associated server costs and the development costs of adding new additional content on a frequent basis. Clearly, there has to be a distinction between the revenue model of both games, right? I think we can at least get on that kind of agreement before we jump into the blog post. I want to first reference the Resident Evil 3 remaster from Capcom. This was a great single-player experience. It was a one-time purchase that hasn't really received any updates outside of minor bug fixes. That's a game where I think it makes sense to have a one-time purchase because you play it whenever you want to. They're not adding new content, so it makes sense. Diablo 4, on the other hand, is an online experience that has obviously associated maintenance costs of having the server to play online, but also the development team has planned to add consistent content on a regular basis to keep players excited. So similar to Path of Exile, there's obviously an associated cost with adding new content and upkeep of the servers. You can't just run on hopes and dreams, right? So they plan on having a single base purchase and then again optional microtransactions for cosmetics and then a battle pass. So I'm not a big fan of the battle pass, but I'll cover that later. But there definitely has to be an associated continuous revenue cycle to support the continuous development of new content. Now, how they implement that is where I kind of have a little bit of a disagreement with. I will say that I am completely fine with optional microtransactions for cosmetics. I have played Path of Exile a bunch. I have purchased the MTX. It's really cool to make your character look amazing, but it doesn't make you any stronger of a player. I'm completely fine with that and have absolutely zero objections to it. Battle passes is where things kind of get a little iffy for me personally. Again, I would like to kind of hear your feedback on battle passes in general, but I think the reason why people are not super receptive to what we've seen so far for the planned monetization system for Diablo 4 is the fact that there is a large proportion of free-to-play games out there. So whether it's like Call of Duty or Path of Exile, there is games that support continuous update with only optional microtransactions for cosmetics, and then it's a free-to-play game. I'm personally fine with a base game and then optional microtransactions for cosmetics, but I don't really like the battle pass. But I just wanted to kind of clarify the difference between the reason why you can't just have like Diablo 4 be a single one-time purchase and then expect consistent model updates with the content for like years down the road. There has to be a revenue model that supports that, and that's just an important factor that I kind of want to distinguish. With that being said, we'll actually dive into some of the specifics of the blog post. So there is a ton of very promising features that are mentioned right at the start of this blog post. The two standout ones for me right off the bat is the promise to bring up to 4 new Diablo 4 seasons a year, each with new major features, quest lines, enemies, legendary items, and more. So that's amazing. Sort of similar to Path of Exile, kind of driving new content on a consistent basis. Something that I think as a Diablo 2 player I've been starved for. This will be great for the future of Diablo 4 if they can stay consistent with like adding meaningful changes at a quarterly basis. That's fantastic. And they did also mention here about an eternal realm. So similar to ladder and non-ladder with D2, when a season expires in Diablo 4, that character ports over to the eternal realm, and then you'll start over with the new season, the new mechanics, new items, with a brand new character. Everybody starts from scratch. So it's a basically just a level playing field, again, similar to any kind of standard Diablo 2 reset. So moving on to this section covering new content, there's a line here that I think is very interesting, that they want to introduce fresh new gameplay for the quest line, like new challenges, mysteries, and possibilities into the leveling up experience. This is something that I'm very excited for because as a player mostly involved in Diablo 2, and like I have kind of branched off into Path of Exile, you basically want to get through the campaign and storyline as quickly as you possibly can because it's the same, and if you played the same game for 10 years, you've done the same quests over and over and over again hundreds of times, it does get a little bit stale. You kind of want to get to the end game, you want to make a specific build, grind out items to center a new character around, a character build or something like that. The fact that they plan on introducing, again, new challenges, mysteries, and possibilities into the level up experience before you reach the end game, that in combination with quarterly season updates, I think is huge and is going to really keep the game fresh, which I think is very important to maintain a passionate player base. So this is something that I'm actually very excited for. There's a small little blog here about refreshing the meta, and this is something that's very important to me as a Diablo 2 content creator. I have really pushed for sort of shaking the anthill and really shifting the meta. There's a lot of, I think, purist players that really don't want to touch anything, but the fact that they're kind of committing here to revitalizing and sort of refreshing meta builds, whether it's through character shifting, balancing, new legendary items, new uniques, paragon boards, etc., and glyphs, that's going to continually refresh the meta or create new build opportunities. Sorry, I was kind of hiding that there. That is very important to me. New build opportunities and refreshing the meta, something that I really want to kind of drive into D2, but the fact that they're promising that in Diablo 4, that has me very excited. So there's a small section here that's stating their intent to continue to improve the game through identifying quality of life features, and that they will listen to the community feedback. Right here, you can be rest assured we'll be active in improving the quality of the game experience for years to come. So hopefully they'll listen to community feedback, whether it's like drop rates in endgame content, paragon boards, maybe glyphs are too easy to achieve to make your character stronger. Again, item drop rates, maybe item rolls, maybe it's something like stash tabs or a currency tab for stacking up all types of legendary affixes that we want to maybe extract from the cultist, that kind of thing. As long as they're listening to the community and they're going to commit to adding quality of life, sounds very promising. So as far as live events go, they did touch on this a little bit during the Xbox gameplay demo. So essentially, as you're moving through the open world, experiencing quest events, you can run into and encounter these random live events. So you can choose to do them by yourself, or maybe even big boss world events where you team up as a party. That is, again, kind of another extra layer of keeping the game fresh. We will have to experience this again in beta and when the actual game drops. But the fact that it's going to be randomized content in addition to the end game and then moving through the quest storyline. So now moving on to the season journey and the season pass, where we're going to discuss some of the Diablo 4 monetization system plans. So this is where things get a little iffy to me, but I do want to point out that I think that the fact that Blizzard is clarifying this, that is kind of important. Right here at the bottom, the season pass has both free rewards, cosmetics, premium currency, and gameplay boosts. So you don't actually have to pay to partake in the season pass. It also has paid rewards, but these are cosmetics and premium currency only. So you can't pay to accelerate your character or have an advantage like you could in Diablo Immortal. So there's no spending $25,000 to get a legendary gem, nothing ridiculous like that. So Blizzard, it does provide some crystal clear clarity on the difference between the free tiers and the premium tiers. It's kind of interesting because the potential rewards, again, nothing is set in stone here, but the free tier XP boost kind of sits a little bit weird with me. But again, the difference between the free tiers and the premium tiers is the premium tier, you're spending money to purchase exclusive rewards. Now, these include themed cosmetics and premium currency. So themed cosmetics, I'm assuming, is something like a specific body armor that you can only have in Season 1. This appears in Season 2. Again, kind of incentivizing you to purchase that premium tier. And then premium currency is just currency that you can use to spend in the shop for different cosmetics. So again, nothing really crazy. Again, it's all just MTX, so you're not purchasing an advantage. Now, they talk about some of these free boosts. Again, nothing set in stone here, but they talk about a potential example is boosted experience to accelerate leveling multiple characters within a season. Kind of sits a little bit weird with me. Again, they specifically state that whether you choose to have the free tier or the premium tier, the ability to unlock this XP bonus, it's obtained at the same rate. So you can't obtain it faster, so you can level faster if you spend money. They're crystal clear on that. I just think that accelerated experience boost is just a weird season perk. Like, why not have it be extra stash tabs or extra character slots? Something like that I would be okay with. This kind of seems weird to me, just being able to obtain accelerated XP. But again, if everybody has an equal playing field that can obtain it, I guess it's not the worst thing. I just think it's a little bit funny, but just let me know your honest thoughts in the comment section below, specifically about the difference here on free tiers and premium tiers. So the final tail end of the blog post here, they mentioned the shop. Now there's a couple of key features to point out. The first, that they stress that it's optional. So again, it's similar to Path of Exile. These are all cosmetics only. You're not purchasing power, so that's very important. For those that don't want to spend a cent, they don't have to. For those that want to have a very cool looking decked out character, that option is there for you, and then you're again going to support the continued development of the game. They did also stress here that they want to be completely transparent on what you're purchasing. So some of these cosmetics look very cool, but you'll actually get to see what the character will look like with that particular skin. So there's no kind of like, you're being sort of like, you think you're going to buy A, but you end up with like B looking. There's no sort of sneaky stuff like that. So that is very important. And at the end, they did mention that not all of the cool looking stuff is going to be locked behind paywalls. There's a couple examples of some cosmetics which are going to be just obtained free through playing the game. So again, buying the purchase-based game, you won't look like a bum when you're playing the game. You'll actually get to see and experience some of the cool stuff. Although, again, my gut tells me that some of the very coolest stuff will be locked behind a paywall, but that's kind of expected with microtransactions, particularly in cosmetics, because why would you have the coolest looking item, something that anybody can obtain, right? Obviously, you want to incentivize people to purchase particular skins or whatever. And they did mention that it will be transferable between all different characters. So that is very exciting. But that pretty much wraps up this video, guys, in its entirety. I know it was a little bit of a quick one, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think, if you agree or disagree. I didn't want to read it off word for word. I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the kind of key takeaway points for me. I think that this clarifies their position on microtransactions and not being pay to win, similar to, or excuse me, the total opposite of what Diablo Immortal was, which that was entirely pay to win. So that is good to see. But yeah, just let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Like, there's just so many different takes on how to monetize a game, like whether it's like free to play with cosmetics, a base purchase, excuse me, like Diablo 4, again with optional microtransactions. There's just so many different ways to kind of earn revenue for a game. So I just would like to hear your feedback. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you guys did, if you could throw a like on it, that'd be awesome. I'll catch you guys on my next video or live stream. Peace out.